Alright, so?
Unfortunately, the title of the third Spider-Man movie wasn't Phone Home or Home Wrecker or even Home Slice. We know now for sure that the title is Spider-Man No Way Home. Sounds quite dire, doesn't it? I think the webhead might be in a bit of trouble. So what does this title actually mean, and how does it relate to everything we know about the hotly anticipated sequel? Are we saying goodbye to Spidey in the MCU for good? Let's discuss. The day before it was actually announced, Tom Holland made an Instagram post saying the title was Phone Home. And right before we could go into a frenzy analyzing what Spider-Man 3 and E.T. might have in common, was Peter going to be an alien trapped in a different world or something? Jacob Batalon posted how the title was actually a Spider-Man Home Wrecker. And just when you think that maybe something weird is going on, Zendaya posts how the title is actually a Spider-Man Home Slice. It was a clever way for the movie to drill up some buzz, to get eyes on them before revealing the actual title a day later with a fun video.
You didn't tell me. I figured it.
But is there a deeper meaning? We know that Spidey is almost definitely dealing with the multiverse in this movie. So is the fact that they released 3 separate titles before revealing the actual one a fun nod that there are different universes out there? Man, I wish I was in the universe where the third Spider-Man movie was actually called Home is Where the Heart Is, and it was just like a Hallmark version of Spider-Man? Alright, okay, maybe not. So what does No Way Home refer to? Well, where we last left Spidey, the young Avenger was dealt the 1-2 punch of not only being framed for murder, but also having his secret identity outed to the whole world. And what better place to escape all that heat than a completely different universe? That sounds like a solid through line that both plays off the events of the last film while also setting up a new future for Spider-Man. So what else do we know about Spider-Man No Way Home? Well, we know obviously the core cast is returning, so that's not a big shock. But the real exciting casting additions are all the returning actors from the past Spider-Man franchises. First, news broke that Jamie Foxx was coming back as Electro, and that was met with some confused shrugs and a tentative, oh yeah, that might be cool if done right. Then we know now that Alfred Molina will be back as Doc Ock, and then it became clear that the multiverse was 100% going to factor into this movie. There still might be a few surprises on the way for previous Spider-Man villains to make another appearance, so fingers crossed for Paul Giamatti's Rhino. But you know what's even better than returning villains? Returning heroes. Because we live in a world where Spider-Man apparently needs a mentor in every movie, the third film will feature a nice, juicy role for Doctor Strange, who is cementing himself as the most important Phase 4 hero. Given his importance and ability to share information about the multiverse, his role in the movie makes sense. Now the question is, will he be a major part of the movie, joining Peter as they take a nice jaunt through the multiverse? Or will it be more like Iron Man in Homecoming, where he's maybe in like 15 minutes of the movie? Like, maybe he'll show up to explain the multiverse and then nope out as Peter gets lost through some wacky hero shenanigans. But Doctor Strange isn't necessarily the only hero making a return. If rumors are to be believed, Charlie Cox's Daredevil will also show up at one point. Whether it's in our universe and he makes a cameo as Peter's lawyer, or if he shows up in the multiverse somewhere, either way, that's exciting. And of course, we have to talk about the other Spider-Men. Although nothing is confirmed, it's heavily rumored that both Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield will be showing up thanks to the multiverse. Seeing all 3 Spider-Mans from the last 20 years together in one scene is too good of an opportunity to pass up, don't you think? But ultimately, is the title hinting at something a little ominous? Yes, the multiverse concept is fun, but is this title hinting that Spider-Man will leave the MCU forever and live in a different universe? Story-wise, that'd be dark, but behind the scenes, it kind of makes sense. The relationship between Sony and Disney has always been tricky. And this third Spider-Man movie could be a way to transition Spider-Man out of the MCU as we know it, as opposed to just yanking him out like what almost happened a few years ago. Here's a dark prediction. This movie will officially transfer Spider-Man over to the Sonyverse, where they can keep making solo movies about him, but then for big multiverse type of Avengers movies, the MCU will be allowed to bring the character back and feature him in team-ups. Not an ideal solution at all, but it's one that could appease both Disney and Sony in the long run. And overall, given the schedule and future announcements of new projects, it kind of makes sense. This Spider-Man's trilogy director, John Watts, has been announced as the director for the eventual Fantastic Four movie, which is great news. Until you put two and two together, that it's probably because he won't be directing Spider-Man movies after No Way Home. Hey, you never know, maybe Spider-Man will stay in the MCU and continue to have solo movies going forward. But all I'm saying is that we should approach this with a bit of caution. But we'll just have to wait and see. The film is currently set to release on December 17th, 2021. And that's fitting since set photos have teased it's Christmas time in New York during the film. Let's just hope that the date stays the way it is, because after all this casting news, Spider-Man No Way Home is definitely one of the most anticipated Phase 4 movies. I was hoping the title for the third movie was actually going to be Spider-Man Home for the Holidays, and it was going to be a fun Christmas special like the Star Wars Christmas special. I mean, I think that's a missed opportunity right there, don't you think?
Well, I mean, Peter's not going to tell his truth. What about you?
Yeah, dude. What about?